Okay, how's everybody doing? We're just getting the live to go public. Here we can hear my voice. That's a good sign. Okay, we are rocking and rolling. Okay, holy crap, another energetic day. I can say that much. I did a beautiful activation with Ramona Lapin. It was on my timeline. That kind of kicked the hell out of me for a while. I was probably about an hour and a half and just absorbing all that energy and making the shift. And then I got some beautiful opportunities to have some direct communication with some people on my timeline. And then I laid down and I started to realize how I've shorted myself out a little bit. Apologies, it's not very bright in here right now, but that's why we're getting little artifacts here. Let's see if we can fix it while we're talking here. So essentially what was happening is I got looking at things and it's like, okay, why am I giving my power away? Why am I not being truthful? Why am I not being direct? And why am I suffering through all these things where clarity happens and it gets uncomfortable? There we go. Let's see if that helps. Oh. And well, that didn't make any difference at all. I'll stop that. Essentially, so as I started to look, I started to see I was afraid to hurt people inside. And we're taught this from, I don't know, from a long time ago. Parents, lineage, traumas in school, having all these bad outcomes. I think it's a side effect of the ego, where the ego sees us being hurt and kind of compares it to being direct with other people, and that might hurt them, and that's uncomfortable. And we basically build this kind of little belief or this programming inside of ourselves that to be direct might hurt someone, or might hurt their heart, or make them have a wound, or whatever, based on some wounds that we had where people maybe didn't speak directly to us, or we had a relationship and what was going on underneath happened and we knew there was something else, but we could never really feel comfortable talking about it. And then basically the relationship broke up because we didn't have that clarity, and we're constantly hiding these things in our field that we're not good enough in some way, or that's why people left us, or that's why love didn't happen. It can happen from parents that are lacking love themselves, or had some kind of a trauma that made them hate themselves, or have a disconnect with who they were. And essentially for all of us, it just shorts out our power. These little light beings come out in birth and we're shining like the sun, and we just want unconditional love, and we want everything beautiful to happen, and stuff starts happening. Our lineage traumas start to show up. The programming of society, of our church, of our parents, of our government, of our schools, all comes in and says, oh, you can't shine that bright. You've got to be like one of the restless masses here. School, religion, etc. teach crazy things. Religion teaches us that we're sinners. I was Catholic, and there was a term that we'd always say that is the thing that woke me up. It's like, I have sins around fault in my thoughts and in my words, and what I have done and what I have failed to do. And basically it was just like an admission that I was a sinner all the time, and that everything I was doing had some element of sin, and that I needed to do better. And it's a control mechanism. And I'd short myself out. It's like, okay, then you go to confession and tell the priest that you swore, and you lied to your parents, and you took something you weren't supposed to, or whatever, and then you'd be given penance, and you'd be given all these things that led us to like, okay, me doing what I want. And I'm not saying that swearing and all that kind of things are what I want, but really the definition of sin is to be off target. It's an archery term. Sin means it's off target. If your arrow's in sin, it means it didn't hit the dead spot in the middle, or the bullseye. So we're, as children, kind of trying to learn our power, and we're swearing at our friends, and we're swearing at our mom and dad to try and rebel, and all these kind of things. And we're told, oh, we're a sinner and we're bad. And lying, sometimes we're saying lies because we're trying to get what we want, and seeing other people lying, then it's like, okay, to lie. But we end up building this short circuit to our power. It's like we're told that that's wrong, or that's bad, or don't touch that, or don't do that. And we keep getting slapped on our hand. And then we're like in fight or flight inside of our body. It's trained as parents. How many parents, don't touch that vase, don't touch this thing, it's for your best good. Do you think that little kid understands any of that shit at that time? No, you're getting whacked on the hand all the time, and it's pain reinforcement. And it's like, what did I do wrong? Because they can't even understand what's going on, but you're getting reinforcements. You're getting hit or spanked on the bum. That's how I grew up, and that's how my parents taught me how to do things. And did that really help? Did that work? Sometimes it could have been different, but we didn't know any better way because that was societally normal. So my parents didn't do anything wrong, or they weren't bad, or they weren't whatever. And I'm sure your parents did the same thing. And from my day and age back in the 70s, you'd get a belt sometimes if you were bad. And my mom used the wooden spoon on me on occasion and stuff like that when I was bad enough. These things happened. So our reinforcement is we're going to have pain and suffering and hurt if we do things like some of the things, like, for example, I got the wooden spoon when I didn't come home right away when my mom called me, and I wanted to play with my friends some more, and I wanted to do other things. So all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I was like 12 years old, and it's like, what? I'm yelling back. And when I got home after going back and forth, because I didn't want to come halfway across, it was like half a mile away. And I didn't want to come all the way home to see what mom wanted. All of a sudden, it wasn't even supper time. And I got home, and I got grabbed by the arm, and I got wooden spoon broken over my ass. And by the way, don't laugh when your mother does a wooden spoon on your ass and you're not feeling punished because that it broke and she was like confused. I sat with that for a long time. But look at the reinforcement that we get, that our power of what we want, of what we whatever, is not okay. So this comes up into our life where we're constantly being asked to apologize for speaking about what we want, or asking for our needs to be met, or asking for what we want. And one of the hardest steps we're going to find as we move forward through all this kind of awakening stuff is to start being unapologetic about stepping into our power. The communication I had with somebody on Facebook today, it's like, oh, there's all this indirect communication and about doing lives and when we're going to do the live and things changing at the last minute. And I just said, halt, stop. We're not going to continue. This doesn't feel right. If you got a concern or you want to add boundaries or whatever, you don't do that 2 minutes before we're going to start. You call and you communicate with me and that kind of stuff. And a very hard thing was to come up and be really direct about, okay, this is why I don't feel comfortable about moving forward. But why was I apologetic about that? It's like, oh, well, I'm feeling bad. I may be hurting him. Maybe he had his reasons. I can't fucking read people's minds. Excuse my French, but we're doing it all the time. We're being asked by these people that don't have the comfort to be able to be direct about what they want, and we're trying to meet their needs, and then we're feeling bad, or that we did something wrong, or we missed something, and then there's just this mess that goes on. So instead, I'm like, okay, I waited a week after the discussion, and it was like, okay, something's wrong here, and until they come back and tell me what's wrong, is there any value in engaging? And then I gave it a week. Okay, they didn't engage themselves. And then I came back and said, okay, this is what I felt. This is how it was. I'm loving myself by saying really clearly what I felt on my end. And it may or may not be true because you haven't communicated with me and there's nothing bad or good about it. But here's what I felt. Was it true? I don't know until you respond back. And in future, I'd like more direct communication. I'd like you to say what you want. If it feels off, get in touch with me a day or two before and say, hey, I'm not feeling right about this. Let's talk about it. You can't change it at the last minute or it fucks up the energy and the confusion would go out in the energy. So where are you apologetic about standing up for what you want? What's important to you? What does being unapologetic mean? Unapologetic means the only person that knows what you fully and truly want is you. And there's absolutely no shame or guilt or suffering or anything in you stating what you want. And we need to learn to be clear about this, because we've been trained from birth, especially as children, not to speak up too much. Children should be seen but not heard. Children's what they want isn't important. So we sit with this thing in our field now as adults saying that what I want doesn't matter. And it was done at that time because that was the societal norm. And this is what made it easier for parents, so they didn't have to listen to a whole bunch of questions. And we're growing up in a society where we're all like people pleasers and we're just trying to make everybody happy. And we really never talk about what we want or what we expected. We just get hurt because that expectation is never stated. Hello to Haiti and Neville and Kathy. Thank you. So unapologetic is what I want matters. Who can tell you that? Say that right now. What I want matters. What I want matters. And how does it show up that what you want doesn't matter? Well, when you don't speak about what you want and what it means and who's asking and all this kind of stuff, you're shorting yourself out. You're shorting your power out. You're shorting your manifestation out. You're shorting your ability to, there's a lot of interference in my life. Is it just the video or is it going up and down? Can you say, Neville? Like the screen I can't change because it's a lighting issue, but if it's shutting down and off. I don't know what you mean, Kathy, by yes, it does. Somebody's got to describe what's going on. But I can't mess with this screen part, but if it's interrupting with my video, that I can maybe do some changes to. Anyway, sorry about that. What was I going to say? Maybe I'll have to record these in advance next time, but it takes away the interaction. Being unapologetic is to stop shorting ourselves out. Stop saying, I don't matter, or I got to please someone. They got to be met first, or else what happens if we short out our power? How can I get what I want if I need to be validated that I can get that before I can get it? If that makes any sense. Anyways, no, I didn't mean that. So is the video dropping in and out and stopping? I saw once that it did that, but maybe it's something with my Wi-Fi. Anyways, so pleasing other people is what we've been trained into, and it's part of the inverted matrix, because the only person that can please us is us first. And until we take responsibility for our needs getting met, we can't be direct in our communication. We can't basically tell other people what we want if we're apologetic about what we want before we start, because that means our manifestation gets zeroed out. It's like they come first, and then you're giving all your energy to somebody else, and they're working out and their life's going great, and you don't know why yours isn't. So we're doing it because we were trained from childhood, from church, from religion, all these kind of places, even in school, that we can't be an individual. The individualism is, okay, let's try audio interference. Let's try a different mic here. Let's see if that's better. Okay, so I switched mics, so we should hear it better. So essentially, the teachers tell us not to be like that. Stop doing that. It's causing a disruption in the school. We're taught this in every facet of our society, but it's around control. So who's going to choose you? When do you get a chance to stand up? They wait until after we're out of school and we're kind of trained like little sheep to not stand up, not to have rights, needs, etc. And then we are angry, we are frustrated, we are kind of turned off because we're not getting met, but we've got this conflict inside of ourselves of not being met. So Neville, can you just mention if there's any more audio interference or if it's better now? If we don't have those getting met by ourselves, and some people would call that selfish, but I don't think in spiritual there's any such thing as selfish. If you're hurting other people by choosing you all the time and not caring for their feelings in some way,
that could be considered selfish, but putting yourself first isn't selfish as long as you're respectful to others. It's like in a sexuality perspective, it's like you're going in and you're giving and receiving, but so many women complain that men just take and they have their orgasm or whatever first, and then the woman never gets one. Well, that would be kind of messed up as far as I'm concerned. Oops, I'm just trying to keep the video up so I can see comments. Oops, sorry. Okay. Not my greatest live today. But we got to keep in balance. We got to keep in balance with other people, make our needs met, but at the same time, give and receive and ask what you need to feel received. Ask what you're needing to be met with. Ask, because if you don't ask, who's gonna know? And we're in this belief that we're gonna just know it automatically and everything's gonna be better. So be unapologetic in standing up for what you want. Be unapologetic in being better. Neville says we're still got poor audio. So I'm going to start winding this down. I'm going to have to debug a little bit. Maybe it's Facebook because I've never had this problem before. But try those things. Start looking at it, see why. And once you start to see why, you're going to see there's a hole in your energy field. And that energy field is trying to please and to fix and to whatever. And until you can kind of stand up, step out of your ego and start to change, you're going to be frustrated. And I felt frustrated for a long, long time. So I'll do another live. If this one's too bad, I'll just dump it and I'll do another one later. But sorry for the issues. And oh, Kathy's saying it's fine. So it must be Neville's side. But look at that. Look at where you're being apologetic about what you want. It's like, oh, I'd really like to spend time with you, but are you sure you want to spend time with me? It's all of a sudden this like, am I being okay enough to be with you, but you haven't given me any feedback to say that this is okay. And this big mangled up shit comes. And what could happen instead? It's like, are you enjoying being with me? And that's direct, and people might not like that, but that's the only way you're going to get understood if you are and aren't. And especially in my world with dealing with women don't want to be direct. They want to just kind of, well, in my experience, lower vibrational women that I've had in the past don't want to be direct, but I'm seeing more and more women that want to be direct, and it's so much more clear. It's like, okay, I'm interested in talking to you, but I'm not feeling attracted to you. Okay, great. Then I'm not going to have that sexual side to me or whatever. Now, if they're lying to me and saying they're not attracted just so that they don't have to talk about that side, then it's at their loss. So look at the things that are working, look at the things that aren't working, and start figuring out where you're apologizing, where you're shorting yourself out, and where you're not being truly what you need to be and not being direct about asking for. And you're going to be really, really surprised, and something magic's going to happen, because people are going to start seeing you in your power, and they're going to be attracted by that, and they're going to want to be around you because it's safe and easy to deal with somebody that's direct and accountable, because they always know where they stand. And I always want to know where I stand with people. And if we want to sit here and pretend we don't and like beat around the bush and all this kind of stuff, that'll be the first thing that'll get me to step aside. And I don't have to respond to that and communicate and see why and all this kind of stuff. I just have to be crystal clear. It's like, hey, I don't respond to this indirectness, and it makes me feel really uncomfortable. So when you're ready, let's have a direct conversation. Otherwise, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to speak with some other people that are being direct, and it's perfect. And those are the people that love you. Those are the people that will trust you, have faith in you, and have confidence in you, because you don't pull any punches. You're not crazy. They feel safe around you because they always know where they stand. And if I'm not saying it, I'm not communicating it or whatever, it's my own fault. And if people are allowing that to continue to happen with me, I want to be called on it, even if it's hard. Do it diplomatically, do it nicely, but don't keep shooting yourself in the foot. So anyways, apologies for the technical difficulties. I'll check it again, but hopefully this was clear, and hopefully it helped. You have a great day. I love you all. and we'll talk again soon. Probably another one tomorrow. Have fun. See you soon.